the boundary a little bit.
Well, they're doing okay there. In Boston? Massachusetts?
All right, Boston.
Massachusetts. So yeah, if you can find it near you, try it, and I'm going to keep drinking it, and we'll be back after this. And we're back. So, Cirilla has a habit of not listening to warnings she is given. A long time ago, Kahlan warned her about the danger from Kelton, and she totally straight up ignored it. Kahlan had shown up in the middle of a ball, totally unannounced, uninvited, just rolled up in there with her wizard, all badass-like, making everybody else look little and insignificant.
Stole the spotlight, man.
For sure she did.
This ain't your ball. I'm up here by the big table. They're supposed to look at me.
And on top of that, she pointed and was like, hey, that guy, he's trying to kill you. Fuck you. And then they proceed to have a little bit of a back and forth before she confesses this guy and he admits to being an assassin.
Huge stress point.
Yeah.
Kahlan walking in and be like, hey, that's the dude you're banging, right? And has her admit it.
Yeah.
Like in front of people. And then proceeds to like obviously confess him, and then he's not who he is anymore. All in full view of like all of her buddies that came over for her ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a great time. Before he's confessed, he's unarmed. Kahlan gets the knife. And when he's questioned about what happened, he instantly died. Apparently this happened to another person that he was working with. That's how they knew that was going to happen. The wizard was like, told ya. Just drop dead. Like, spy movies, you know, where they bite the capsule thing.
We literally watched a movie last night that had this exact thing happen in it.
The Watchmen.
Watchmen, yeah. Where he's like, don't you swallow that pill, you son of a bitch. It's like a suicide pill. You pop it, you bite it, and then it kills you.
Yeah.
So this guy obviously had a spell on him to where, it sounded weird just coming out of my mouth. He had a spell on him. He might have had a web or something like that.
On you.
Yes, exactly. To where if he tried to say who his boss was, essentially, who does number 2 work for, then he would die.
Right, and Kahlan tried to convince Cirilla that just let me do it my way and we'll figure this out, and she was not having it because she was embarrassed. Which you can't really blame her, but still.
It does make you wonder if Kahlan knew that that was the case.
She says afterwards, I could see it in your eyes.
But is she aware of the other person that died from trying to speak the name?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. So then she may have an idea. I guess that's what confused me. If this was her first one and she'd be like, well, obviously this guy, you can't ask him a certain question, otherwise he'll die. So we have to work our way around this very carefully. And my confessor training has taught me how to question people to like get to the heart of the situation.
Right. That's what her plan was. Like, she's a confessor. She can get... I mean, I don't even think it would be that hard. She just has to not ask the one question. So she just has to think of the series of questions to get to the answer that's not that.
She's like the negotiator in a jumper situation. She's been specifically trained to speak in a certain way. Yeah. No, I know it's a little bit cringy, but like that's what they do.
Yeah.
Call Bill. Bill is a super nice guy, and he will talk to him down, and, like, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
But Bill has been highly trained to not use trigger words or any, like, aggressive language.
De-escalate.
Yeah.
So after this dude drops dead, Cirilla is still like, well, we don't have any answers, but Kahlan passes her the knife, and she's like, that's a Kelton knife, man. Keltish?
Keltish, yeah.
It's a Keltish knife. That's proof. I mean, it's the intent of them trying to come fuck with you, because why else would he have that? And Cirilla's like, oh, they could have bought it.
Yeah, it's like Lord of the Rings. It's like elvish steel. That's the good stuff. If it's Keltish, it's solid. Probably expensive. Not everybody has it. Sounds like there's a lot of, like, poor people here, too.
Yeah.
So for him to have something like that, he has it for a reason.
Yeah, and maybe listen again to the person who is apparently investigating some weird conspiracy theory. If she's telling you, kind of think this, you should maybe, like, okay. I get you're all emotionally bound up right now, but, like, take the night and think about it. Kaylee also brings up her dad, specifically her dad. She doesn't say our dad, and I know it's because we aren't acknowledging that we're family, but it's fucking weird to, in front of your half-sibling, reference your father instead of our father. That's fucking dickish.
Right. Or, I mean, even leave out the our. Just father.
Yeah. Dad.
Yeah. I mean, when you're with your siblings and you're referring to your parents, you're like, hey, so I was talking to dad. You just use that term because there's only one guy.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to each other, you can't be like, hey, my dad wants to know.
Yeah. If you're trying to lean on her knowledge of him and his knowledge, like if you're trying to be like, you know him. He knew his shit.
Right.
Then you would want to lean into that. And if you're just trying to be like, I was told this by somebody, just don't even mention your dad.
The only other reason I think it might be a little bit strained like that is because once he was confessed, like, he didn't live with Cirilla and Harold anymore.
Then he was Kahlan's dad.
Right. Bernadine, right, got a new hubby.
Or at least behind closed doors.
Or, yeah, was with somebody. Cirilla had already done her growing with her dad by the time Kahlan came into the picture. And he was completely a different guy after his mom confessed him, and that is what Kahlan grew up with. So it's the same guy who might have had completely different, definitely had completely different personalities for both girls.
That is a really, really good point. Like, Kahlan's dad wasn't Cirilla's dad.
Right.
He was, but he wasn't.
But he wasn't.
Ah.
Point to me.
Yes. Yes, very impressive.
That's good.
So, Kahlan tells Cirilla that Wyborn told her that Kelton's only attack for two reasons: jealousy and perceived weakness.
And we know that there's just been, like, a regime change.
Right.
So, weakness.
Yes. Or jealousy, because they were perceived to be in a good place at that point in time. And if you thwart them, they will be pissed off.
They hold on to that shit forever. They never forget it.
So I think, not to anybody's surprise, Cirilla kind of freaks out on Kahlan just a little bit. She says, I wouldn't know what our dad fucking said. I didn't grow up with him, you dick.
Well, I mean, she did, though. Just, I guess, another version of him.
Yeah. Well, Kahlan got him longer, I guess.
Yeah, well, Kahlan would have had him, Cirilla was 12 when Kahlan was born, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that. So Cirilla got her dad for 12 years.
Right.
And then Kahlan got her dad for, as long as she's been here. Obviously he's, gone now, right?
Right.
So, yeah, she got him longer.
Well, and I guess on top of that, we know that Wyborn didn't want anything to do with Kahlan. He only dealt with her when he was told to and taught her about killing and, not great stuff, not warm, fuzzy stuff she needed to know to stay alive. And we don't know necessarily how he was as a parent to Cirilla. It could have been a totally different situation. So this is also you stole my warm, fuzzy dad. And she's like, I got murder dad, so don't worry about it.
It wasn't great, okay?
Once Cirilla kind of wraps her brain around that a little bit and is like, oh, okay, so I'm being kind of excessive right now. We're in the middle of a ball, and I'm yelling at this powerful woman / my half-sister. I should probably take it down a notch and just ask her to hang out.
Yeah, talk about crashing the fucking party.
Yeah. So she asked Kahlan to stay, and Kahlan's like, no, it's probably gonna kill the vibe. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Everybody is just going to eat the chips and drink the juice and stare at me, and then I'll leave early, and I don't want to do that. So,
yeah,
I'll go.
plus, my white dress, the red punch, it's just, I'm just going to go.
Yeah, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. Look, I'll do myself a favor. I'll do you a favor. I'll leave and give you all something to talk about, okay?
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye. She tells her, I'm going to tell the council about what happened and my thoughts, but bye. Cirilla says that was the most intimate conversation they ever had. I feel like, send her a letter. Be like, let's be pen pals, sis.
My question now is, they're both adult-ass women, right?
Yeah.
So, like, okay, no favoritism, but also, who's in charge anymore? Yeah, you both have your jobs, but when you see each other, give each other a fucking hug. Who's going to judge you for that?
Kahlan has, like, a role to play. She has to be the confessor. She got to stand tall. No emotion face.
I mean, okay, fine, but you're not always in public view either. There's never any back chamber, like, talks at all or anything like that between them. The only time they ever saw each other was, like, in a public forum, kind of, when maybe then it would have been inappropriate. But, like, once the doors closed, fuck, how are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, it's interesting because Kahlan has always said that nobody else wanted to get close to her, that everybody else was scared of her who wasn't a confessor. And we're seeing, at least from one other person, that was like, nah, man, I would have totally wanted to give her a hug, but it was, like, weird. So maybe there's just a lot of, like, that weird awkwardness that people expect her to not be able to give them hugs, and she's thinking everyone's scared of her, so there's this weird, like, wall that nobody will cross.
Yeah, the confessor thing looms. People are afraid to touch her or be around her just because of what she can do, which, I mean, valid worry.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that has to be why she was so upset in the first book. She doesn't have any sort of intimacy with anybody because she's a fucking confessor. And the only people that don't fear confessors are, like, other confessors.
Right.
And she's the only one now. So.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah, no, it is interesting, though. Like, maybe if she knew that Cirilla was totally open to a relationship, she would have been like, hey, if you're not scared, high five. Let's go from there.
Yeah. I mean, who is anybody to tell them what they can't do at this point?
Nobody.
That's the queen of Gallia. I totally said it right that time.
You.
And the mother confessor.
She's the top.
Hey, you guys can't do that. Who the fuck are you to tell us no?
Nobody.
Exactly.
That's right.
They would immediately recognize their mistake. Or, like, willingly die for it.
So, Cirilla, knowing all of this, is surprised and a little bit upset to find out that Kahlan isn't presiding over the council when she gets there to Aidendro. Not only that, there's no fucking wizard there, and to top it all off, the person who's presiding over this council is fucking Prince Fyren.
The guy that's causing all your trouble in the first place.
Yeah. Kelton.
The guy she is there to complain about is the guy that's in charge.
It's like the worst sitcom moment ever. Wah, wah. Also, we've brought this up a couple times. You can't just, like, abandon the seat of power. Like, Kahlan is supposed to be there to keep shit in line. I understand that normally she goes off on, like, treks, but I don't think she leaves it just unattended for this fucking long.
Right. Well, I mean, she shouldn't just because shit like this happens, right?
Yeah.
At the very least, we know the Sisters of the Light have those books, right? They can write in one and then the writing is in the other.
That's how they were finding out Sister Verna's information?
Yeah, about when they got Richard and, like, he's not a kid, he's a grown-ass man. They're writing to each other in a book so that maybe Kahlan could have something like that to where if some shit started to go down, hey, we understand you're doing your confessorly duty, and that's cool, but some shit's happening here, so
come back, please.
Yeah, we kind of need you to do your job here for a minute and then go. If it's a matter of a vote, fine.
Yeah.
She shows up, sees Fyren, goes, fuck no, and then problem solved.
Yeah.
But of course, she wasn't here, so she probably left to go get beer, honestly, is probably what she did.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense.
Yeah, because, you know, sometimes beer runs can take a minute.
Yeah, or two. So we'll be back after a couple of those.